Welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. I am the DJ, and with me today I have Dev-i-Boy.
Hello.
How are you?
Alive. That's all I say. I'm alive. Please help me. Uni's hard.
Oh, yeah, we're all alive. Although I'm angry at what happened this week, though. Oh, like our streak of no COVID cases has ended abruptly. Like thanks to some unscrupulous individuals. Like, oh, I hate the whole thing. It's so bad.
Yeah. Things haven't gone very well.
Like we worked so hard to get to this point, and all of a sudden, bam, this happens. You're like, God.
Yeah.
And thanks to that, now a couple of places had to be closed down, and they even revealed like their path of destruction, like where they went as well during the time they were tested positive.
Indeed. It's been quite a shocking day, I feel.
Yeah, and now they've announced that there are three more cases today.
Yeah. Gonna be interesting next indeed.
Uh, yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. I'm not looking forward to it one bit.
Oh really? You're not? Oh, please.
Toilet
So
paper war is
surprised.
gonna the toilet paper war is gonna continue on.
Oh boy, I saw Audi had a ton words. Saw Audi had a ton of new toilet paper ready to go. So oh boy.
Speaking of massive shockers and all things big, Debbie boy, you've got a story about Nintendo.
Yeah, so as you all like in the game industry, or just gaming in general, leaks happen. This week we had a massive. Oh, I think it was roughly around this week. Slash, I think it was leak started around last week sometime. But it was basically a massive link, of course, from 4chan on over a dozen Nintendo games and more. Just like a ton of unreleased data and builds, and just tons of information. So the majority of this is games from the Super NES and N64 era. So like Super Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and Yoshi's Island were some of the most notable ones. This is pretty much just code dumps to the original source files and a ton of hidden playable builds of different versions of the game during development. And like we know it's legit because we've had some like of the coders, like one of the coders on Star Fox 2, Dallin in Cuba. He came out and said, "Oh yeah, I wrote that." Because someone found one of his old debug screens. It's like, oh yeah, I wrote that. Well, how did I get a hold of this? So I guess what are some of the most notable things? Well, some of the most notable ones so far is there's been found an unused character graphic for Luigi, giving the player the middle finger. Was found in the source file of Super Mario World, dated
Oh yeah, I saw
1989.
that.
Yeah, it's like, hey Nintendo. And then they also actually had character sprites for never seen characters, such as Yoshi's Island, Mustache Yoshi, so it's Yoshi with a mustache, or as the community's dubbed it, Grandpa Yoshi. And
Oh.
a ton of others unreleased stuff, like early versions of Mario 64 with early levels and like the castle and stuff, and then like early build of Legend of Zelda, not Twilight Princess, that came far later. Ocarina of Time and things like that. We got like an FX chip, Super FX chip, a 1994 demo. It doesn't look like Link, but it's there. You can definitely see the resemblance in some ways. But yeah, just a ton of unreleased. Like it just goes on and on the amount of things people have found. Uh, More scrapped Pokemon stuff, of course, as usual. But it's also been a little controversial, mainly
That's
because
all.
of this information was never meant to be seen. So it's pretty much a lot of characters are like, "Oops, I do, yeah, probably shouldn't have seen that, guys." There's a lot of things in there in some of the code, which is developers ranting about certain things, or there's one here that says "time to kill cow license to kill." Just a lot of developer comments and stuff of them playing around, obviously during development, which was never meant to be seen by the public. So for a few people, it's like, "Oh, this wasn't meant to happen. Please don't." Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing how like you look at all these like leaks and you're like, wow, Nintendo, this is what's this big boo boo here?
Well, see, it's an issue because some people worried it means Nintendo's gonna get even more hardcore on their copyright abuse, if they put it. Simply because this leak is, well, uh, yeah, because it simply some people feel probably a lot of this information is, Nintendo likes to keep things on the wraps, and considering these are Nintendo games, not like you know, Sony games, saying people. I mean, no, Nintendo hasn't said anything about the leaks, but it's only a rumor that's been going around. It's nothing confirmed. But yeah, that's just the things. 30-year-old junk. Basically, yeah, this way to sum it up is 30-year-old junk assets have just been released. Have fun, guys.
So that's gonna be interesting. Like, I wonder how what the modding community is gonna do with these new data stuff.
Indeed, like obviously, um, these games have already been broken before, right? Like
Hmm.
people have been able to edit these games long before if the final builds are released, right? So mods, or what do you call them when you hack into a ROM conversion, I believe it is. I haven't got on my terminology very often, very lately. I need to get better on that. But with all these new assets, especially pixel art and stuff, I expect quite a few people will be using this in the future to develop their own little fan games.
Although, yeah, you're right. With Nintendo, they will be getting really hard in the copyright sort of system.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't done anything too notable yet. Um, Given it isn't like a modern title, it's still 30 years old. But Nintendo likes to keep all their franchises, no matter what era the game was released, under wraps. So I think it'll add into them being a bit more tight in their information in the future.
Yeah, but it does. But these leaks does show a picture of how Nintendo operates.
Oh, indeed. And it's really cool to always see behind the scenes stuff, as it always gives you a better idea for how development works. But it is Nintendo of the height of the game, put it that way. So it's very interesting having a peep into a world 30 years ago.
So with the, I think the biggest one up for me, I saw this on social media was the fact that they revealed Yoshi. No, not Yoshi. Luigi. I'm like, wow, Luigi on N64 Mario. Why didn't they do
Yeah,
that?
I actually haven't seen it myself, so I can't confirm that one. I've gone through a few posts. Luigi, have a look.
The interesting part about this is, given the fact that we're always seeing a lot of leaks and for Nintendo, I wonder, are we going to see any more leaks in other gaming companies as well?
Um,
Like, could you imagine like a leak with Blizzard? That would
oh,
be a
that'll
big one.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like a leak from a game that has online connectivity because that could be detrimental to experience, like we saw for the Valve leaks.
Hmm.
So, like these games are fine because they were offline single player experiences back during the '90s, right? But leaks happening for modern AAA games is a big worry because it's having a source code leak is basically the end of all days.
As a game developer, this must be nervous for you as well, wouldn't it?
Not really, because it's not like it's Nintendo. They're a big company. They got a ton of franchises. The only way source code like this gets leaked is through hacking, pretty much. So as long as you keep things on the wraps, you're fine.
Yeah, but it's only a matter of time before someone tries and gets all the materials from your game and go, ooh, what is this? Ooh, what is that? Ooh, and a secret level in one of your games? Ooh, what is this?
Potentially, but it really just comes down to how much fanfare there is for a certain project. Like something that's you gotta to well, for someone to dedicate enough time to if they don't have the original source files, like the game development file, to go back in and have to what do you call it, re-engineer the game from the backwards through to the beginning. That's a lot of work. So you have to have a very dedicated community to doing that.
And yeah, and I bet the Nintendo community is very dedicated, aren't they?
Indeed, yeah. They're gonna make sure. They always want to find new stuff.
So I bet these Nintendo leaks are Nintendo's worst kept secrets in a sense.
Not really. I think they're definitely worth secrets, and there's definitely a lot of the secrets from 30 years ago, and they're important to Nintendo of then, but Nintendo of now, I don't know how important they are. In terms of legal reasons, definitely 100%, because this was NDA disclosed stuff, right?
Yeah.
So legally, yeah, these are secrets, but in terms of like culture secrets, I don't really think they affect too much. Like a really big, like a really bad legal secret would be like Nintendo's like documents or something like something that would affect them directly.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the lead developers for the Star Fox titles. I say like that he nearly made Star Fox 2. I'm going like, wow! Imagine if Star Fox 2 came out.
Indeed. If only it did. Oh wait, it did finally.
So how big would this affect the gaming community as a whole?
Not that much, but in specific circles of the gaming community, I think obviously Nintendo fans and the Nintendo community itself definitely quite huge. I think, especially those in retro gaming. So retro gamers and Nintendo fans, I think, is ones it affects the most. Outside of that, I don't think it really impacts much else. 'Cause, I mean, source code leaks have happened many times before, but this one is special because it's strictly Nintendo related.
Yeah, you're right. And then I reckon this will also bring in a couple of emulators, bring in the emulator side of things as well.
True, that is something that might definitely have an impact, especially the wrong distance stuff. People saying before, re-engineering the game into including these old elements. Well, I think it's probably I say you can count on that happening.
So, moving along, I've got a story about the Witcher, and so the Netflix has announced they're going to expand the universe of the Witcher by introducing a live-action prequel series called The Witcher: Blood Origin. So this will be helmed by Declan DeBarra and the showrunner Lawrence Schmidt Hirsch Hisrich. And so it'll be a six-part live action of the Witcher spin-off series, and it takes place 1,200 years before Geralt of Rivia. So this will be explaining the story of how the first Witcher came to be, and will show a merged world of monsters, men, and elves. So my question would be: Are we gonna see Are we gonna get the reason how that Witcher song came into being?
You never know. Bard might be, an immortal being.
It will answer a lot of immortal questions.
Perhaps so. I am interested in watching this. I really did thoroughly enjoy the new Witcher. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. It was probably 7 out of 10 for me. As I think, as pretty much the same points everyone else had, like the terrible pacing with the time warping situation. That wasn't very. It wasn't set out in a very easy to understand format.
That
Doesn't
was
need
a
to be easy. It doesn't need to be easy to understand, but it was very confusing for first time viewers like me to get a hold of what's going on. I got a hold of it eventually, but still, it did damage the experience a little. But
yeah.
yeah, outside of that,
Although I was kind of intrigued with the whole with the idea that Henry Cavill was going to play as Geralt.
yeah,
I was like, wow, Geralt, that's going to be an interesting mix.
indeed, he did a great job though.
Yeah, in the end, he did really well, and I like how he just slashes all the monsters, and he's like, damn. So Declan, who will serve as the showrunner, also added, as a lifelong fan of fantasy, I'm beyond excited to tell the story. And he teased what fans might expect from the series. So a question has been burning in my mind ever since I first read the Witcher books was, what was the elven world really like before the cataclysmic arrival of the humans? I've been fascinated by the rise and fall of civilizations, how science, discovery, and culture flourished right before its fall. That'll be interesting. So this news comes after Netflix also announced that there's gonna be an animated film set in the Witcher universe back in February. It's called Nightmare of the Wolf,
Oh,
and this will be focusing on Geralt's mentor Vizimir.
interesting.
But that but with the prequel series, they're talking about how the first Witcher came into being. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but that's already been explained, hasn't it? Like the first like they already explained like how the Witchers came into being. Like a Witcher, for those who are interested, is basically also known as Wiccan, Hexer, Vidimir, and Witchman, is someone who's undergone extensive training, ruthless mental and physical conditioning, and mysterious rituals in preparation to become a monster slayer for hire. And the whole process of becoming a witcher is a very very intense process as well.
Indeed, I mean, I'm looking. I think it'd be nice to get another perspective. Just, I mean, main ones just get more time inside the Witcher world. Like they've got, I, the the first series was a success, 100%.
Oh
With
yeah,
Game of Thrones ended,
yeah,
like pumping up more Witcher material is definitely in the best interest right now. Because I want to watch more. I guess a lot of other people do as well.
yeah. But then the problem with source materials is that how much of that source material are they going to put into the series, and what type of narrative are they going to put tell in the show itself? That's gonna be one thing. And like even the Witcher game, they even explained about the witches. Like they came into being when the first settlers were colonizing the untamed lands of present-day Temeria. The elite caste of warrior monks was to defend the humans from the monsters while inhibiting the wild. Thanks to mutagenic mushrooms, herbs, and plant stimulus, the bodies of young apprentices develop superhuman speed and endurance. It's Super Mario.
Oh my god.
As a
Like
result
bouncing
of
around.
uh, as a result of painful and dangerous trial of the grasses, young witches gain cat-like eyes which allow them to see in the dark. And with the help of sorcerers, they learn the ability to utilize simple combat spells called signs. Why does this sound like Mario? It's like, oh yeah, after taking a bit of grass, you
Bup,
get
bup, bup,
fireball.
bup, bup.
So yeah, the game is already kind of explained like who the witches are. Like, do we really need to learn more about them
Well, the
at this
games
point?
explained it, but I mean, the TV series hasn't. That's the whole point here.
I mean, the TV series could just explain it with like a couple of lines, wouldn't it? Like, you don't really necessarily have to say it in a six-part series. Like, oh, this is how the trial of grasses were like. This is how they were treated. This is the torture scene where they were given mushrooms.
True, but I think it's going to go a long way helping the Witcher world become more established as a franchise.
Yeah, I yeah, and you're right as well. Like, I think the element of world it does include another element of world building.
Yes.
But unfortunately for this prequel series, there won't be much there won't be Henry Cavill in it, so I'll be like, ah, nuts.
Oh man.
So moving along, our science topic is about smallpox and theories that it might have killed the Vikings. So, according to researchers, they have collected DNA from viruses in the remains of northern Europeans living during the Viking Age, and some of them were likely Vikings themselves, and found that they were infected with extinct but related versions of the variola virus that causes smallpox. The team announced these reports in July 24th in Science, and these new findings push back the proven record of smallpox infecting people by almost 1,000 years. So researchers have previously discovered ancient traces of the virus DNA in the mummies of mid 1600s that put the common origin of the modern strains to 16th or 17th century. It's still uncertain whether the virus that causes smallpox first began to infect people, and the disease is estimated to have killed as many as 500 million people, and is the only human pathogen to have been eradicated globally. That's going to be interesting. I mean, like we always thought like the Vikings died because of massacres and whatnot, but this is interesting how no, it was actually diseases that killed them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thinking about that part of history, it's very difficult to tell quite a few things. It's I mean, we do know quite a lot about them, but it was the Dark Ages, right?
Yeah.
So getting written evidence is very difficult.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The downside to it as well is that there aren't any like you're right, there aren't any written evidence, so we don't know what really killed them. And they're saying
Yeah.
here, but then interestingly you mentioned that they said written records from more than 3,000 years have documented smallpox-like symptoms, and scientists have identified possible smallpox skin lesions on mummified remains, but it's difficult to prove that the smallpox virus was cause.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so they said that the team reconstructed nearly complete genetic blueprints of 4 of the 11 ancient viruses, which revealed that the Viking era strains belong to a now extinct group of variola viruses. Yeah,
Uh,
can you imagine the scientists coming back and resurrecting this virus, though?
I mean, they do have smallpox in Pacific laboratories.
Yeah, but this one's technically extinct, though. I mean, imagine they find a strain of that and be like, "Ooh, let's weapon, let's do something
Let's
crazy."
let's not try and what's the word? Um, theorize if the virus is still out there. It's 2020. This is a bad time.
Imagine if what I said came true. Be like, DJ, did you have something to do with this?
Have we been talking about Mate? The world's yes.
I like the ending of this line. They say, "These kinds of pandemics have now been part of our history. What we see today is a tip of an iceberg of what was around." Uh oh.
Yes. Have you seen outside the window in the last few months?
But it's interesting though how now we're understanding more and more about the diseases back then. Like back then we were like, oh yeah, smallpox. It's harmless now. It's extinct. But then now we're learning more and more about the how smallpox were effectively deadly without without the need of modern science.
Indeed, yeah. It's always an evolving and changing landscape. So who
Can
really
you
knows?
can you imagine years from now there's the future generations that learn about the coronavirus?
I mean, they will, that's for sure. Especially in history class, I say. That isn't probably still going to be around.
The link for the original for the journal article will be introduced. So for those for those who want to learn more about it, they can find it on the journal. So what have you been playing, Debbie boy?
This VR game, not VR chat, a VR game called The Red Stare. It's a free game, basically where you are a US spy, where you're a US spy that's having to take notes on and watch a apartment complex full of commies and work out who's the traitors and who's fighting for American freedom in there. It's a free game. It's really interesting.
I'm seeing the trailer. This game reminds me of that one movie where this nosy neighbor is looking through his camera. It's an old movie. I don't know whether you're familiar with it or not.
I honestly don't know from that description.
It's an I think it was an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And I think the Simpsons did an episode on it where Bart has his broken leg and he's looking through the camera, like the inner workings of his neighborhood, and he finds out that Flanders quote unquote kills something. He thought he killed his wife,
Oof.
but it turns out he killed his wife's plants.
No, the poor
And
plants.
and how Ned Flanders was screaming like a girl as a result.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, that's an interesting concept though, to be honest.
Oh, it's really really fun. Um, like they got the classic, it's 1950s, what are you, 50s, and you got smokes and everything, so yeah, you can light up a ciggy and just watch people. It's just fun to role play.
Yeah. Ah, there we go. It was the Alfred Hitchcock movie was called The Rear Window.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the episode was it was called Bart of Darkness. So Bart had a telescope after he broke his leg and he starts suspecting that Ned was murdering his wife. But what's the biggest flaw you've encountered in that game?
The biggest flaw would probably be sometimes, which is the whole point of the game. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to work. I think the biggest flaw would be some of the AI routines are a little too easy to understand. Because I literally say, "Oh, if anyone walks into this bar, they're a good person," and everyone walks into the bar. Um, it's like I think the AI needs to be a little more like a little more realistic. I feel it feels a little robotic-y. But that's probably the only thing I would say. Overall, it's a really good game for being free.
Although it does sound really creepy though. Like, yes, you get to play as a nosy neighbor.
Oh yeah, but it's also creepy another way because you never know if someone's going to pop into your apartment and shoot you. So you're always that air of tension because the AI will sometimes look at you and stuff. So it's like, oh, are they judging me, and they're going to take notes and like report me, or whatever. So it's
Have you been caught yet?
no, which is good.
So how would you rate the game?
Probably 4.5. That's where
Nice.
I put it.
I've been playing M.A.S.S Builder, and that's a very interesting game because you get to design and play Gundam,
Oh,
and you get to paint them and create your own Gundam effects and stuff.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically MASS is basically it's an acronym for Mechanical Assault Skeleton Suit. So
Oh,
you lead the fight against the alien invasion bent on exterminating the human race. The fate of humanity is in your hands. Looks really cool. Like you get to design any sort of frame. You get to design the paintwork, the armor, and what type of weapons you can carry as well. So you got your traditional sword
Hmm.
and two guns.
Yeah, oh, come on. Is there 3 guns?
Nah, two. Yeah, but yeah, it, I got the demo edition, unfortunately, but I've been having fun with this game. Just like, woohoo! I get to play Gundam. Woohoo!
Is is it a free game? Is it a bought game, or is it like use microtransactions? How does it work?
It's a board game. No. It's
Oh, okay.
no, not a board game. You have to buy this game, the full game. But I bought the demo edition. But you get to control your Gundam you get to control your Gundam.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So it's an action RPG with players piloting the M.A.S.S, which is mechanical. It's also as a commander of a private military company. Gee, I wonder where have I heard that one before. So yeah, you get to build and customize your suit, and you get to have a lot of fun. Like the designs they come up with are insane.
Ooh, so basically allows you to basically go beyond the scope of reality.
Yep.
The best.
Oh yeah.
So how would you rate that particular game then?
I even though it's a demo edition, I would give this one a 4 out of 5. My biggest flaw with this game is the auto targeting system. Like normally
Hmm.
when you lock onto a target and when you destroy the target, normally you would just lock onto the next one. It doesn't do that.
Hmm.
It just like, yep, that's it. And then you have to continuously try and auto aim it. So yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that's pretty understandable.
yeah, but still, like I I'm a big Gundam fan, and this is like yes, some a game that I can play and build Gundam.
Your dream has come true. Now you can die peacefully.
Yep. Goodbye, crew world.
Bye bye. He's gone.
uh, so speaking of bye bye he's gone, onto our shout outs. 24th of July 2020, Regis Philbin, TV and game show host, passes away at 88. He's the host that became famous by becoming a beloved fixture of daytime television, um, and he was a long-time morning talk show host before stepping down in 2011. Other credits include Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and America's Got Talent, which were both transfers from British TV. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was briefly America's most popular show, often airing often 5 times a week. It generated around $1 billion in revenue and in its first 2 years, and helped make Philbin a millionaire many times over. His questions to contestants, "Is that your final answer?" became a national catchphrase. He was also given a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Daytime Emmys. Having been called the hardest working man in show business, he holds the Guinness World Record for most hours on US television. He died from heart disease in Greenwich, Connecticut. Oh, Greenwich, Connecticut. 26th of July 2020, Olivia de Havilland, Gone with the Wind star, passes away at 104. Gone with the Wind star Olivia de Havilland, who was considered last surviving actress of the golden age of cinema, has died. The major works of her cinematic career spanned from 1935 to 1988. She appeared in 49 feature films and was one of the leading actresses of her time. Her sister was the actress Joan Fontaine. She first drew attention by playing opposite swashbuckling Errol Flynn in a series of films starting in the 1930s, and made an enduring impression as the demure Southern Belle Melanie in Gone with the Wind in 1939. For her contributions to the motion picture industry, she receives a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She and her sister remained the only siblings to have won major Academy Awards and the only sisters to have won any Academy Award. She died from natural causes in Paris. Did you ever like that movie, Gone with the Wind, Dev-i-Boy?
I've seen it. I've seen some clips from it. I honestly haven't seen the whole thing. I know, uncultured person, shoot me.
I thought you were gonna end it with, "Cause frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn."
Well, frankly, my dear, I just simply don't give a damn. Does that satisfy you now?
Although I will say that's a good movie to watch though. It's one of those classic movies.
Indeed, definitely.
On the speaking of classic movies, on the 28th of July 2020, 25th of anniversary of Waterworld. Opened in theaters 25 years ago today, riding on the wave of hyperbolic hand wringing over its chaotic production and inflated budget. Waterworld is essentially Mad Max on water. However, it's less than the original 1979 revenge classic and more like Beyond Thunderdome. Set in a post apocalyptic world where the polar ice caps have melted and the world is now one gigantic ocean, the legend of dry land can only be found by a map tattooed on a child's back. Initially planned as a $100 million adventure, the Kevin Costner vehicle suffered from natural disasters, including a multi-million dollar set being destroyed by a hurricane, rewrites, production setbacks, and the like, which inflated the final cost to a then record 175 million. When the film finally opened in July 1995, it earned mixed reviews and entirely decent box office. Despite eventually breaking even and over the years making an outright profit, Waterworld is still held up as a definitive Hollywood bomb. Man, that plot is so weird.
It is a very weird movie, but I must say I love the set design of it.
Yeah, but the whole like tattooed on a child, the map tattooed on a child's back. Man, where
Oh
have I
yeah.
heard that line before? It's like, okay, I've seen this in Yu-Gi-Oh! I've seen this in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Where else have I seen this?
Yeah. Is this a trope?
Oh man, and not to mention this Kevin Costner doing this was after he had like a lot of success with the Dancing of the Wolves movie, if I recall.
I believe so. I can't say 100%, but I believe so.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they do a remake of this movie?
Oh man, I wish they would. I honestly wish.
Yeah. So on to our remembrances. On the 28th of July 1794, Maximilien Robespierre, Maximilien Francois Marie Isidore de Robespierre. Wow, it's a long name. French lawyer statesman who was one of the best known and most influential figures of the French Revolution. As a member of the Constituent Assembly and the Jacobin Club, he campaigned for universal manhood suffrage and the abolition both of celibacy for the clergy and slavery. He played an important part in the agitation which brought about the fall of the French monarchy on 10th of August 1792 and the summoning of a national convention. His goal was to create a united and indivisible France, equality before the law, to abolish prerogatives, and to defend the principles of direct democracy. He died from being executed by guillotine at the age of 36 in Place de Revolution. So now you know where how the French surrendered.
Good old French. No, England, you shall not steal a croissant. Am
I
I
just
playing in stereotypes there? Definitely.
it just reminds me of The Simpsons with the when Willie becomes a French teacher. Bonjour, you cheese eating surrender buckies. On the 28th of July 1869, Jean Evangelista Pacini, still trying to pronounce that, Czech anatomist and physiologist. In 1839, he coined the term protoplasma for the fluid substance of a cell. He was one of the best known scientists of his time. He's best known for his 1837 discovery of Purkinje cells, large neurons with many branching dendrites found in the cerebellum. He's also known for his discovery in 1839 of Purkinje fibers, the fibrous tissue that conducts electrical impulses from the atrioventricular node to all parts of the ventricles of the heart. He also introduced the scientific terms plasma for the components of blood left when suspended cells have been removed, and protoplasma. He describes the effects of camphor, opium, belladonna, and turpentine on humans in 1829. He also experimented with nutmeg the same year, where he washed down 3 grounds nutmeg with a glass of wine and experienced headaches, nausea, euphoria, and hallucinations that lasted several days. which remains a good description of today's average nutmeg binge. The crater Perkine on the moon is named after him, as is the asteroid 3701 Perkine. He died from uremia at the age of 81 in Prague. Now that's an interesting experiment. Imagine doing that. Imagine trying to clone that experiment, clone the nutmeg experiment now.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think that really happened, would it? You know, it's got a slight hint on that.
It'd be a great YouTube video if someone were to do it.
I mean, if YouTube keeps it up.
On the 28th of July, 1968, Otto Hahn, a German chemist and pioneer in the fields of radioactivity and radiochemistry. Hahn is referred to as the father of nuclear chemistry. He discovered radioactive isotopes of radium, thorium, protactinium, and uranium. He also discovered the phenomena of radioactive recoil and nuclear isomerism. In 1938, Hahn and Fritz Strassmann discovered nuclear fission, for which Hahn received the 1944 Nuclear Prize for Chemistry. Nuclear fission was the basis for nuclear reactors and nuclear weapons that were developed by the Manhattan Project during World War II. Considered by many to be a model of scholarly excellence and personal integrity, he became one of the most influential and respected citizens for the post-war Germany. Of the post-war. He died from heart failure at the age of 89 in Göttingen. Göttingen. Sorry to all the Germans. Sorry for if I pronounced the towns badly.
Look, Germany is what is one country over from France. You just need to get this right, mate.
I can't help it. I really suck at language.
Understandable, it's all good.
It's so bad. Please don't judge me. Oh, so on to our famous birthdays. 28th of July, 1945. Jim Davis, James Robert Davis, American cartoonist, best known as the creator of the cartoons comic strips Garfield and U.S. Acres, aka Orson's Farm. Published since 1978, Garfield is one of the world's most widely syndicated comic strips. Prior to creating Garfield, Davis worked for an advertising agency, and in 1969 he began assisting Tom Ryan's comic strip Tumbleweed. He then created a comic strip Norm Nat that ran for 3 years in the Pendleton Times, a newspaper in Pendleton, Indiana. When Davis attempted to sell it to a national comic strip syndicate, an editor told him, "Your art is good, your gags are great, but bugs, nobody can relate to bugs." He then began studying the comic strips, still firmly believing that animals were funny. He took note of how Snoopy was not only a scene stealer in the Peanuts comic strips, but that he was far more of a marketing success than his owner, Charlie Brown. Deciding that the comic market was oversaturated with dogs, he decided to create a cat character as the lead of his comic strip instead. He was born in Marion, Indiana. Did you ever like the Garfield comics?
Personally, yes, I did enjoy them a bit, but I wasn't very much of a diehard fan. It was more just like I see when I read it and chuckle and move on. I don't know. I think the comic series that I probably read the most as a kid was probably the Phantom.
Yeah, nice.
Simple as could at a local fair, they'll hand out comics of that every year, small little ones. So it
Yeah,
comes in those.
our former co-host was a big Phantom fan as well. Yeah, he loved the Phantom, and we
Which
also oh, sorry.
sorry. It's an interesting series. I'm not die hard. I'm probably not the levels he is. But it's a very different take on superheroes.
Yeah, that's true. What with the Garfield series though? Did you ever like the movies?
Why are you even speaking about this right now?
Cause it's Garfield.
The wonderful, what's his name? Who played Garfield
Hang on a second. The
from
movie.
Ghostbusters? Ghostbusters lead.
Oh, no. Bill Murray.
Yeah, that one is that you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Please no.
That was
We shall
that
not speak
bad.
of this subject once ever again. It's. Have you seen it?
I've seen the trailer, but I haven't seen the movie. I'm
Yeah. It's very
terrible.
much early 2000s cheese.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, in my eyes at least.
This I take it the sequel was even worse.
There's a sequel.
That unfortunately, yes.
Why'd you have to tell me these things today? Let's just pretend 5 seconds ago, knowing there was no such thing as a Garfield sequel ever to the movie releases. Like no.
Ah. Oh man,
What
like
have
I
you
said,
done? What have
I
you done
haven't.
today, mate? You've hurt me.
I didn't mean to hurt you. I mean, I did not know that you knew there was a sequel.
You've hurt me. I'm physically I'm bleeding everywhere.
And so are you telling me you acquired stigmata?
Yep. I don't know what that word means, but I will say yes regardless.
To me, like I'm more of a to be honest with you, I'm more of a Snoopy fan myself because I have a thing. I have a big crush on beagles. Like they're so cute and everything. I'm a bit of a dog man myself.
Hmm.
On the 28th of July, 1866, Beatrix Potter, Helen Beatrix Potter, English writer, illustrator, and natural scientist and conservationist, best for her children's books featuring animals such as those in the tale of Peter Rabbit. Potter's study and watercolors of fungi led to her being widely respected in the field of mycology. In the 30s, Potter self published the highly successful children's book The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Following this, Potter began writing and illustrating children's books full time. In all, Potter wrote 30 books, the best known being her 23 children's tales. With the proceeds from the books and the legacy from an aunt in 1905, Potter bought Hilltop Farm in North Surrey, a village in the Lake District, which at the time was in Lancashire. Over the following decade, she purchased additional farms to preserve the unique hill country landscape. She continued to write and illustrate and to design spin off merchandise based on her children's books for British publisher Warren until the duties of land management and her diminishing eyesight made it difficult to continue. She is credited for preserving much of the land that now constitutes the Lake District National Park. Potter's books continue to sell throughout the world in many languages, with her stories being retold in songs, films, ballet, and animation, and her life depicted in feature film and television film. She was born in 2 Bolton Gardens, West Brompton, London. Did you ever like this Peter the Rabbit books?
I haven't personally read this, but I did watch the TV series when I was a kid.
Oh, you mean the one where that has that sad song in the beginning?
Yes,
Oh,
that one. Yeah, the
oh,
drawings.
that was a good series. I will admit I love that series.
It was well done. It was very timeless.
Yeah. Have you seen the Renelle Zellweger movie?
No,
That was that's a good one to check out.
all right, have a look into it.
Yeah. No, I think it was called it was just called Potter. I think.
Potter.
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 Everyone
Harry Potter. There you are in the flesh.
Can you imagine if J.K. Rowling was to come out and say, "Yes, Beatrix Potter, she's Harry Potter's long lost sister."
Please
Yes.
no.
Oh no, that it was actually called Miss Potter. That's the one, Miss Potter. That was the movie. That's the movie it was called. But did you ever watch the Peter Rabbit movies that came out though? In the end.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about. I'll have a look now. So there was a 3D CGI miniseries.
The 3D CGI movies, yeah.
Oh, those ones? No. Oh, I remember this. I blocked it from my self conscious. It's basically Chipmunks 3.0. Nope, never seen it.
Oh.
Never seen it.
It's like I will never. You really hate animated like 3D animated movies, don't you?
No. Just when it's not done in a good way, and I don't consider CGI character thrown into live action good.
Yeah. Well, come on, there is always Sonic.
Okay, I mean, there's some that are good. There's some that are good.
Moving along. On the 28th of July 2002, Archer Martin, Arthur Archer John Porter Martin, a British chemist who shared the 1952 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the invention of partition chromatography with Richard Sinji. He specialized in biochemistry in some respects of vitamin E and B2 and in techniques that laid the foundation for several new types of chromatography. He developed partition chromatography whilst working on the separation of amino acids and later developed gas liquid chromatography. Among many honors, he received his Nobel Prize in 1952. He published far fewer papers than the typical Nobel winners, only 70 in all, but his ninth paper contained the work that would eventually win him the Nobel Prize. The University of Houston dropped him from its chemistry faculty in 1979 when he was 79 years old because he was not publishing enough. He was born in London. On to our events of interest. 28th of July 1932, White Zombie, first feature-length zombie film directed by Victor Halperin and starring Bela Lugosi, is released in the US. White Zombie is a 1932 pre-code horror film independently produced by Edward Halperin and directed by Victor Halperin. The screenplay was done by Garnet Weston based on The Magic Island by William Seabrook. Is about a young woman's transformation into a zombie at the hands of an evil voodoo master. Bela Lugosi starred as the zombie master Murder Legendre, with Madge Bellamy appearing as his victim. White Zombie is considered the first feature-length zombie film. A sequel, Revolt of the Zombies, opened in 1936. Modern reception to White Zombie has been more positive. Some critics have praised the film's atmosphere and compared it to the 1940s horror film of Val Lewton, while others still had unfavorable opinions on the quality of the acting. And and after that movie came out a lot of zombie movies that people liked in the end, like Resident Evil. You got a favorite zombie movie there, Dev-i-Boy?
That's a good question. Probably, what's the name of it? It's the third movie in the series. It's not really zombie, but it's sort of in the same vein. No, I'm trying to find it. He has a chainsaw on his arm.
Oh, Evil Dead.
Yes, thank you. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Oh, I loved that movie. That was awesome. The Army. It was Evil Dead was the first one. Then it was the Army of Darkness. That's the one.
Yeah, Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is the third. Evil Dead is one. There's Evil Dead 2. Then
That's
Army of
right.
Darkness. Yep.
Yeah,
Good. They're more comedies, really.
yeah. Bruce Campbell. How could such a legendary actor? I would love to see him in another Evil Dead movie. I would love to see him. On the 28th of July 1945, a U.S. Army B-25 bomber crashes into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building, killing 14 and injuring 26. So a United States military plane crashes into the Empire State Building. This freak accident was caused by heavy fog. The B-52, B-20, not B-52, B-25 Mitchell
A-52 bombers. I'm sorry.
The V-25 Mitchell bomber with two pilots and one passenger aboard was flying from New Bedford, Massachusetts to LaGuardia Airport in New York. As it came into the metropolitan area on that Saturday morning, the fog was particularly thick. Air traffic controllers instructed the plane to fly to Newark Airport instead. This new flight plan took the plane over Manhattan. The crew was specifically warned that the Empire State Building, the tallest building in the city at the time, was not visible. The bomber was flying relatively slowly and quite low, seeking better visibility when it came upon the Chrysler Building in Midtown. It swerved to avoid the building, but the move sent it straight into the north side of the Empire State Building near the 79th floor. The accident caused the death of 14 people, 3 crewmen, and 11 people on the building, and damage estimated at $1 million, equivalent to about $14 million in 2019. Although the building's structural integrity was not compromised, elevator operator Betty Lou Oliver was thrown from her elevator car on the 80th floor and suffered severe burns. First aid workers placed her on another elevator car to transport her to the ground floor. But the cables supporting that car had been damaged in the incident, and the car fell 75 stories, ending it up in the basement. Oliver survived the fall but had a broken pelvis, back, and neck, when rescuers found her amongst the rubble. This remains the world record for the longest survived elevator fall. But that Oliver woman, that has one lucky woman.
Oh, indeed, that is truly a lining of fate. That's you managed to survive that.
And finally, on the 28th of July 2018, Australian Wendy Tuck becomes the first woman skipper to win the Clipper Round the World yacht race. Tuck first took part as a skipper in the Clipper Round the World yacht race in 2015-2016, becoming the first Australian woman to do so. In 2017 to 2018, she became the only Australian to repeat the challenge, skippering the 70-foot yacht Sanya Serenity Coast over 40,000 nautical miles and 6 oceans. Wow. Move over Sinbad. The yachts are named after the tall ship clippers that raced tea to England. Tuck's crew was not constant and changed regularly throughout the race. On 27th of July 2018, 12:36 Universal UTC, I'd like to say it, she crossed the finish line, becoming the first female skipper to win the Clipper Round the World race or any round the world yacht race. Interviewed after the race, she said, "If one little girl sees this, see it can be done and has a go, that will be what matters to me." Ah, that's a nice message.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah. So, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're pretty good.
Oh, come on, Devi-Boy. Uh, uh, this is your last day before you go on your
Ah, ah,
sabbatical.
I don't know. Stay alive, guys. Yay! There's a message for you.
Oh, and I have forgotten. For those wondering where the professor is, yeah, he's on his own. He's on a sabbatical as well. So if you're wondering where the professor is, yeah, he's.
Don't worry, he's not 6 feet under the ground.
He's around. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll be back. So yeah, they can so for our listeners, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify. That's not canon.com, where we have merchandise and an archive of our old episodes. All of our details will be in our show notes. And check us out on Pod Hero. And please support us where and so that we can deliver more awesome content for you guys. Also, check out at the That's Not Canon.com website, where we have a new podcast called Kill My Darlings.
What happens in this podcast?
So this podcast apparently is about Harry Potter related stuff. So again, let me get. So it's basically you've got to kill your darlings, as the writer's adage goes, and one person wants your help killing it. Are you a lover of the fantasy adventure novel? Have you ever wanted to add a class at Hogwarts or rearrange the nations of Middle Earth? Perhaps you would redesign the Althiometer or tweak the cosmos of the Discworld. Now's your chance. Kill My Darlings is an interactive fantasy writing podcast where you take on the role of editor and give feedback on the brand new world as it is created, or just vicariously enjoy the writing process. So yeah, that's all we have for this week. Take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and
Over and out, guys. See you out.
Here we go.